All right, to run the test sequence, we start by touching automatic test sequence. Make sure we've selected the right test sequence and press load, and then start. This tells us what gas we should be using. I'm going to enter the ID of the device we're testing and our operator initials for the test report. This tells us what user manual or service manual the test sequence comes from. This just reminds us what module we're testing so we can make sure we have the right test sequence loaded. Okay, so we'll start by doing visual inspection of the device. First, we've got to remove it from the unit. Everything looks good, so we'll hit pass. Now we're going to prepare the unit to do the gas sample system leak test. We've got to detach the front cover of the module as well as the casing, and then we'll block the arm reference tube with forceps and connect a new water trap, and we've got to block the sample gas outlet connector. We then connect the sample line to port A on the SmartTank and hit start. Once we press start, we'll see the SmartTank is pumping up the module that's being tested up to pressure. After it's done pumping, it'll wait for the pressure to stabilize. We can see this is the actual pressure. This is the pressure it's targeting, 80 millimeters of mercury. Now it's stabilizing and waiting for the gas pressure to be stable. Now that the gas is stable, it started its countdown. The starting pressure was 80.7. We can watch what the actual current pressure is to see if it's leaking. Pretty much everything you test will have some tiny leak rate. But you can see that this one's not leaking very much. So the actual pressure drop was 0.3. The service manual said it could drop up to 2 millimeters of mercury, so it passed very well. Next, we will reassemble the casing. Now this is just the back sheet metal casing and not the front cover. And then we'll install the module back into the monitor. And the module will start running. When you hear the pump running, you can connect the sample line of the module you're testing to port A on the SmartTank. Once the sample line is connected, we press start, and the SmartTank will measure the sample flow rate and return a value. You can see the pass criteria were between 100 and 140. The actual measured flow was 113.6, so this passed the test. Next, we're going to measure the reference flow rate. We've got to connect a line between the reference port, that's the reference gas port that's on the side of the module. You can only see this reference port with the front cover off of the module. And then we'll connect the other end of that to port A on the SmartTank. Remember to leave the regular sample line that's connected to the water trap, leave that connected to the module. Once it's connected, press start. So the reference flow rate was 35.4. It had to fall somewhere between 10 and 50. So that's a passing result as well. Next, we're going to check the fan. We do this by removing the water trap and looking or just even listening to the fan, which is right behind the water trap. You can hear it running and then it passes. To perform the gas calibration, we first need to navigate to the gas calibration screen. If you're not sure how to do that, touch on Info. This gives instruction for S3, S5 monitors, as well as B450, 650, and 850 monitors. We start by touching Monitor Setup, Service Calibrations. Here we have to enter the username and password, which is Biomed, the default, and then cap change, space, capital, me. Now we touch CASs and gas calibration. It will start by zeroing the module. Once it says 0 is okay, it will give us the instruction to feed calibration gas. Once it says feed gas, we touch cal on. This will cause the SmartTank to deliver calibration gas at a controlled flow. And we just watch the monitor for when it finishes. This can take 20 or 30 seconds. Once you see it say adjust here, you can turn off the calibration gas on the SmartTank to conserve gas. And then we can adjust these parameters to match the calibration gas. This calibration gas is 5% CO2, so we'll dial it up to 5, and it's 95% oxygen. Hit accept. Once we see calibration okay, then we can go back to previous menu, and we'll hit pass on that. Now we turn calibration gas on. We're going to test the 0 valve. First we look over here and make sure that the readings correspond approximately to the gas. I'm going to hit next. Once they read approximately what the gas concentration is, we're going to test the valve by turning on the 0 valve. We should see those values drop quickly to approximately room air oxygen, which is 20.9, and 0 CO2, which they did. Now we can turn that back on. So that is a passing result. Now we're going to look for the ambient pressure, 683. You can see over here the expected value is 681 plus or minus 10, so that's a passing result. We can tell already. So we'll enter 683. You can see that it's passed. Okay, for the occlusion test, we need to exit out of this screen by hitting previous menu twice and then close. Here we are in the normal screen. Okay, to do the occlusion detection, we're going to press start, which will occlude the sample flow line. And we watch over here, you can see it says sample line blocked. So now we can hit yes. That's a pass result. Next we will detach the water trap. And we'll watch over here to make sure that it gives us a message of check water trap. There it is. So that's a pass. We can plug the water trap back in. Next we're going to block the gas exhaust with our finger. We'll watch over here and make sure that it gives a sample gas out alarm so we can let go. So that's passed. So now we're going to simulate breath. Come over here and set the monitor up, screen setup, scroll down till we see CO2. You can see it's tracing the CO2 waveform there. Here we're just checking that it alternates up and down and looks like a believable capnogram. So that's a pass. Now that we hit pass on that last screen, it stopped simulating breath, so we should see an apnea alarm here shortly on the monitor. This allows us to verify the apnea alarm is working. There it is. So apnea detected. It's a passing result. So next, to complete the test, we've got to discharge or reset the case. So we do that by touching data and pages, start reset case. Down here under reset case, we set that to yes, and it'll reset the monitor. Hit next on the SmartTank. The overall result is a pass. When we hit next, it'll generate a test report. So this is the test report. You can scroll up and down to review the results. When we hit done, it will exit out to the main screen. We can go back in and view that last report or any other previous report.